First, Jesus comes on the earth, and he's got to deal with a lot of evil ones. I mean, you know, how many are we talking about? We're talking about, there's three, the unholy trinity of Satan, the Antichrist, and the false prophet. There were also three frog-like evil spirits of the sixth bowl judgment, and you see the verses aligned on some of these. There was a 200 million man, what appears to be a demonic army of the sixth trumpet judgment, which kills a third of mankind. Now, we're not told that they just vanish after they've done their duty. Then there's an innumerable swarm of locusts of the fifth trumpet judgment, which is separate from the 200 million man army of demons above. And they also appear to be demonic. I write about them in the books and explain why they're more than likely demonic rather than actual literal locusts. And then, of course, you got the garden variety demons. You know, they were popping up all over the place when Jesus Christ first came. One of them was Legion, and Jesus cast the legion out of the man, and he went and they possessed the swine, and that was in Mark chapter 5. So there's demons still messing around at that time, and there's still going to be demons on the earth at that time. They have to be dealt with. They can't populate the Messianic the millennium. What about the 1/3 of the multitude of the angels that were cast out of heaven alongside Satan at the midpoint of the trib period? Where are they going to go? These are eternal beings. They can't get back into heaven. They've been cast out. They're on the earth. They're stuck there. They got to go somewhere. Then there's the untold fallen angels that were imprisoned in Tartarus from the flood at the time of Noah in 2 Peter 2:4. They are reserved for judgment and appear to be distinct from the 1/3 of the fallen angels of Revelation 12 that we talked about when the war of heaven happens, and those third of the angels get cast to the earth. So we got, you know, Jesus Christ has to deal with some pretty big things. And these are powerful evil beings. So we'll start with the Antichrist and the false prophet. Revelation 19 tells us, and I saw the beast, that would be the Antichrist, and the kings of the earth, and their armies gathered together to make war against him, Jesus Christ, who sat on the horse, and against his army. And the beast was captured, and with him the false prophet who worked signs in his presence, by which he deceived those who received the mark of the beast and those who worshipped his image. These two were cast alive into the lake of fire, where there's burning and brimstone. So, the first two inhabitants of the lake of fire, cast in alive, because you won't get into the lake of fire dead. You've got to be alive to get in there. I'll show you that as we go through some slides. They're the first two inhabitants, and they get cast into the lake of fire, alive. Satan goes next. And these time frames may be sequential or happen at the same time. But we're told in Revelation 20, verses 1 through 3, Then I saw an angel coming down from heaven, taking the key of the bottomless pit, and he had a great chain in his hand. Now, I want to tell you that's just an angel, a no-name angel. We don't know if it's Michael. We don't know who it is. It's just a no-name angel, single angel. He has a chain in his hand. He laid hold of the dragon, the serpent of old, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years, and he cast him into the bottomless pit, which is also the abyss. So here comes one angel with a great chain, and he wraps up Satan and binds him for 1,000 years and shut him up and set a seal on him so that he should not deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years were finished. But after these things he must be released for a little while. And when he comes out of the abyss after the millennium, he's going to do some powerful things. So we'll talk about that as we go along. But I want you to note, Satan has been cast down at the midpoint of the tribulation from heaven in the war with Michael, with 1/3 of the angels, the angelic host, the bad ones. And where are they? One single angel comes and wrestles him and throws him into the bottomless pit. Where'd all his friends go? How can one single angel take out big, powerful Satan? So you can see his decline has happened. He's caught up. And he's in the bottomless pit for 1,000 years, and he's not repenting. You're going to find out he's going to come out. He's making plans to be up his old antics and deceive mankind, and he'll find a population on the earth at the end of the millennium, surprisingly, that will buy into his deception. So we're going to get into that, what happens there as well. Now, at this point, there will be a sin nature in those who go into the millennium. Those who are blessed to make it to the 1335th day, we're going to show you those are the sheep Gentiles. They are the ones, they're believers. They will inhabit the Messianic kingdom. But they will go into the kingdom with their baggage. They will have a sin nature. They will be believers. They will be forgiven. And they will birth children in the millennial kingdom. And when sin happens in the millennial kingdom, they won't be able to say the devil made me do it, because he's bound. Right now, people can use that excuse, but they still got their sin nature and the devil is influencing it now. But he will not be able to influence it when he's bound with a great chain in the abyss for 1,000 years. So what happens to all of his cohorts? The demons and the fallen angels? Well, the Bible's not real clear on that, so I reached out to a few of my friends and got their thoughts on this. We'll start with LA Marzulli, who said, well, they got to go somewhere, don't they? It would be speculative on my part. They could be bound in the abyss with Satan for the millennium. Dr. David Reagan said, hell was designed for Satan and his angels, so I believe if Satan is going to be restrained during the millennium, then certainly his demons will also be. So they're all sort of in agreement, you'll see as we go through these. Dr. Mark Hitchcock says, I have always assumed that demons are bound in the abyss with Satan for 1,000 years, although I have to admit the text doesn't say that specifically. That's the problem. That's why I had to reach out to my friends. We don't have any real specific information on this. But as you can see, the general consensus is similar among these scholars. Dr. Andy Wood says, my working assumption has always been that the demons will be with Satan in the abyss, since according to passages like Matthew 25:41 and Revelation 12:7, the demons or the fallen angels seem to be under Satan's authority. So wherever Satan is, they will be also. Makes a lot of sense. I think Andy Woods could be right on that, Dr. Andy Woods. I reached out to Dr. Ron Rhodes, and I have an appendix of all this, what they said. I'm only giving you a few short quotes in the Millennium Prophecies book. Ron Rhodes had a lot to say. Here's just a fragment of the quote he said. The purpose of Satan's incarceration during the millennial kingdom is so that he might not deceive the nations any longer. If Satan's fallen angels were still on the loose, the nations would surely be subject to deception. One might therefore infer that perhaps Satan's fallen angels might be locked up with him in order to prevent such deception. Remember that they're not going to be able to say the devil made me do it or his fallen angels deceived me and made me do it. In the millennium, the sin nature. And then we have Gary Stearman, who said the last time the fallen angels are directly referenced is in Revelation 12:9. Now he's referring to the war in heaven, Revelation 12:9, where they get cast, Michael wins and they get cast down to the earth. After that, they are forbidden to escape into the heavens, as they can do right now. They can go back and forth between heaven and earth, but that will not be the case. That's what Gary's saying. It makes sense to me that they will remain locked into the earthly dimension until Satan is cast into the bottomless pit in Revelation 20, which I just read to you. I think the fallen angels go with him. The doleful creatures of Babylon and Edom could well be idioms for these angels. Whoa, Gary's talking about doleful creatures of Babylon and Edom. So before I go into what that might mean, let's summarize. The consensus is the fallen angels will be with Satan, and the demons more than likely will be as well. Except now there's something we need to look at. There might be other place where demons will go during the millennium. He talked about doleful creatures. Well, let's look at millennial Babylon in Isaiah 13. Let's travel to the east of Israel into Iraq in the Messianic Kingdom, in the millennium, which is also called the Messianic Kingdom, the Messianic Age, so the Millennial Kingdom, those types of things. So we're talking about Babylon in the millennium, millennial Babylon. It will never be inhabited, nor will it be settled from generation to generation, nor will the Arabian pitch tents there, nor will the shepherds make their sheepfolds there, but wild beasts of the desert shall lie there. And their houses shall be filled full of doleful creatures, and owls and dwells there, and owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there. And the wild beasts of the islands shall cry in the desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant places, and her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. So it's going to be uninhabitable, but there will be satyrs and owls and things like that. So what is a satyr? What are we talking about here with these doleful creatures? The Strong's Lexicon translates the word satyrs as a masculine noun referring to possibly a he-goat, or it may refer to a demon-possessed goat like the swine of Gadara. In 2 Chronicles 11 verses 15, the word satyr is translated as devils in the King James Version and goat idols in the ESV version. In Greek mythology, the Greeks used to use the word satyr to refer to a different sort of animal. Instead of a goat-human hybrids, as the Romans imagined them, a Greek would have described a satyr as a cross between a human and a horse, more like a centaur. So we're not talking about humans, we're probably talking about demons. Let's go a little bit to the east and down to southern Jordan area, modern-day southern Jordan, into Edom. We're told in Isaiah 34, Edom, its streams shall be turned into pitch, and its dust into brimstone. Now this is in the millennial kingdom, folks, the same thing with Babylon. So these two particular areas in the millennial kingdom is going to be no tourist zones, no go zones for people to go. It's going to be burning pitch and brimstone. Its land shall become burning pitch. It shall not be quenched night or day. Its smoke shall ascend forever. That's a long time, folks. That's throughout the duration of the millennial kingdom, at least. From generation to generation it shall lie waste. No one shall pass through it forever and even and ever. And that means no tourism, like I said. What's going to happen is the pelican and the porcupine shall possess it, and the owl and the raven shall dwell in it. It shall be a habitation of jackals and a courtyard for ostriches. The wild beasts of the desert shall also meet with the jackals, and the wild goat shall bleat to its companion. Also the night monster, what is that, shall rest there. There the arrow snake shall make her nest and lay eggs and hatch them, gather under her shadow, and there shall also be hawks be gathered, everyone with her mate. So there's going to be habitation, but no human habitation. But are these really literal animals? Dr. Arnold Fruchtenbaum says in his book, The Footsteps of the Messiah, about these Babylon and Edom, he says, these animals as we know them cannot live in a place of burning pitch and burning brimstone. Two clues in this text show that these are not literal birds and animals. The word wild goats actually means demons in goat form. The word translated night monster means night demons. Like Babylon, Edom will also be an abode of demons. So he believes, and I would concur with him, that while everything's really wonderful in Garden of Eden like in Israel, and we'll see that in a moment, these two areas will be a habitation for demons. Now the whole world is going to be filled with the knowledge of the Lord. We'll find that out in Isaiah chapter 11. Part of the knowledge of the Lord is going to be understanding, look, there were demons, there were fallen angels, things like that. These will be existing territories in the millennial kingdom, and they probably will be a place where some of the demons inhabit.